Oh, great. Thank you very much. First of all, let me say thank you very much. When you were reading all those things, I kept looking around the room. Who were they talking about? I give glory to God for everything. But you probably noticed that most of what featured in the citation was that his former this, his former that, his former that, which means I've stopped there for you to catch up. My prayer for each and every one of you, is that you will do better than those of us ahead of you have done. You will excel, because that's the only way our country can get, the progress that we require. That whatever we have done by the grace of God, the same God will make you do even better. I thank the Honorable Commissioner and who came on behalf of the Governor. My dear colleagues and friends, please forgive me about protocol. I'm a bit of a problem with protocol. Yesterday, I was actually at the college with with the provost and also the CMG. It was quite a good time getting back to see each other. So I just go straight because, again, I have one or two other meetings to do after this one. When we look at the science and the mis-science of COVID-19 pandemic, when I first got this topic, I asked my friend Ulula, and I said, what is mis-science? Is this science that has missed the road? Or is this science that is missed with all sorts of, that have missed everything? And then we got to talk about it into what. So I started by going to look at the word miss in the dictionary. And anything about miss is actually wrong. Mismanage, misapply, badly, unsuitable, misname. These are, you can begin to see what we're talking about. Science itself is a systematic study of behavior of both the physical and natural. It's also important to say that. And then maybe on a particular subject, on a series of subjects, which you then share with people. Science on the other side, I mean, the miss, as I said, is wrong. Science misapplied, incomplete. Your science misapplied. Now I don't seem to be able to go to the next slide.
Yeah, Prof, click on the screen, sir. Click on the slide, and then you should be able to move.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, so the science of, so I'm going to deal first with the science of COVID-19 before I deal with the mis-science. I have a way of describing this COVID-19 because I think if we understand it the way it is, we'll probably be in a better position to deal with it. I describe it as an evasive, invasive, invisible, and currently invincible viral disease. And that comes by all sorts of names: coronavirus, corona, COVID-19, whatever, novel coronavirus, severe, whatever, all sorts of names. And it's only a disease like that comes with all those kind of names. Beautiful, gorgeous, beautiful poison. That's what you see. When you look at it, it attracts you, but then it's really poisonous. And so it is an infectious disease which is caused by the severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2. It was first identified, you all know. So I'm just going through this one. You all know it already. In 2019 in Wuhan. WHO described it as a fake public health emergency of international concern on 30th of January and upgraded it to a pandemic by the 11th of March. That map shows quickly what the situation, the darker the color shows the more severe, where you have the most severe portion. You can see in the Americas, you have Brazil. In Africa, you probably find maybe South Africa, Namibia. Nigeria is not listed as one of those, but again, we give some of the reasons for that. Up in the North Africa, you see Libya as one of the ones that has a major problem in terms of number of cases. I'm taking this, most of these are actually taken from the current data of the WHO. In fact, incidentally, this morning I was at the WHO meeting, in which we were also discussing this type of issues. As of 7th of September, which was yesterday, there are over 27 million people across 188 countries. There are 194 countries in the world. Some of them are tiny islands, maybe as big as Akuba or something. So, you know, maybe if anybody gets infection there, the whole village is gone. About over close to 890,000 people have died, and 18 million people have recovered. On the graph there, you see the Africa's contribution. I'm a bit of a colorblind, but I think at the bottom you see the blue section, which is dealing with Africa. So in the contribution to the world, America has the largest contribution with that yellow, pink, whatever. And then all the other ones showing you what areas of the world have been in contribution. These are the same figures in numbers. The Americas, you can see Africa as of today. The new cases we had in the last 7 days, about 38,000 cases, most of it coming from South Africa. But a drop in number, whether the drop is genuine or not. Again, I'm going to discuss that again later. So we are now coming back to the African situation. This is the cases are declining in Africa. You can see that line graph coming up to a peak about the 27th of July, and then coming down. We have all sorts of theories for this, but this is not a general for all of Africa. Africa still accounts for 37% of the African cases, here, Algeria, and Kenya. We need to take seriously about CDC cases per CDC is that they give the number of cases, but they don't give the number that are tested. Unless you have both figures, you don't really know where your hotspots are. So a 200 in Lagos, where you tested 4,000, compared to 60 in Plateau, where you tested only 600. It makes a lot of difference. Although when you look at a large number, so Lagos has 200, Plateau has 60. But then how many did you test? I mean, this is one of the areas where we're calling the missed signs that we're talking about in our country. When you have incomplete what we see from this graph, we probably reached our peak around early in July. Since then, things have been going down, down. But again, as I'm going to explain later, we need to take this with a pinch of salt. Now, what I've done again is to look at the next slide. It's showing you the weekly number of tests that we perform. And you can see two different colors. I don't know whether that's yellow or whatever. That's the bar graphs. You see some of them are painted, are giving white, because on almost since the 27th week, the NCDC have been adding at least 5,000, 20,000, what they call backlog of samples to their data on a regular basis, except for the week 31. But every other week from week 27 up till yesterday or something, there's always an addition of about 27, anything between 5,000 to about 20,000, what they call backlog of samples. Where they're coming from, we don't know. And therefore, so it's a bit difficult to know whether, and so when you add those backlog onto your positive for that week, then you tend to get what we call a lower positivity rate, which is actually not the truth of what is happening. And I've done this graph in a much better way, again, repeating the same thing. The green are where they did not add anything at the end of the week, but it's every Tuesday, NCDC adds backlog of samples. The red line shows you the positivity rate. And you notice as soon as you begin to add this extra, your positivity rate starts dropping. The week of 31, when you didn't add anything, that went up. But since then, positivity rate has actually, in general, been going down. But then they never tell you, actually, how many of the positive for the day, how many they tested that day. They just put is 52,000, and then you do your arithmetic and you end up with this type of problem. So in a way, I'm trying to say, misscience is not just the not telling the truth, not telling the complete truth. It's a misscience. Now, let's look a bit, you know more about this than I do, about the signs and symptoms of COVID. It's an evolving disease. When it started, headache, whatever, all those kind of things were what people were. But as time went on, other things started coming, loss of smell, loss of taste, whatever, and all sorts of situations are coming over this. And so it is an evolving disease, which is coming and showing different things as times went on. If you look at the signs and symptoms when it was happening in Wuhan, it's totally different from what we are having right now, because more things are being shown into that. This graph is a bit too heavy. We're looking at the situation you watch. This I would talk about the issue of transmission and some of that nature. And where it is green is good news. When it is red is bad news. And in terms of what are you doing when you're speaking, when you're shouting, when you're singing at the Holy Ghost service, and all those kind of things. How much of it are you shedding out? Because this is one of the virus that is spread by what we know, whatever comes out of the mouth, the sneezing and all that kind of thing. So as an incubation period, we need 2 to 14 days. It varies from one place to another. You could be asymptomatic, pre-symptomatic, mild disease, severe disease, and I've shown that one. So I'm actually not going to spend too much of your time on what you already know, but I'm going to focus on the missigns of COVID-19. Since COVID started, there have been a series of misinformation that have come from all sources, that to the point that WHO actually call it an infodemic. There was an epidemic of misinformation which have been coming around and has resulted in not only misinformation, disinformation, conspiracy theories, and the scale of the pandemic, on the scale of the pandemic, on every aspect of the disease, whatever the origin, how do you prevent it, how do you diagnose it, how do you treat it, every aspect has a misinformation about it. And the WHO then come and declared it that this is an infodemic. The false information we get, sometimes there's a difference between false information. You can give it because you don't know whether it's true or not. But there's disinformation, which is a deliberate attempt to give a wrong impression. You're going to see the difference between the two as we talk about. And sometimes it borders on ethnicity, on all sorts of things, tribalism, racial issues, and things of that nature. And so this spread through the social media, which is one of the easiest way to get it on, text messages, and even the mass media, the state media, and sometimes where the state media is controlled by the government, they actually spread disinformation, like in China, in Russia, and a few other countries where you have that situation. Now, it has been reported that there are covert operations, because Russia, US was fighting with Russia about not giving proper information. There was a different that this was a virus that escaped from the lab. It was the kind of studies that have been done in a Chinese lab, which was funded by the US, and all those kind of theories that have come up about it. In some countries, for example, in India and Bangladesh, even in Ethiopia, anybody who is found spreading fake news is arrested and prosecuted. I think probably we need to do something like that in this country. Misinformation is not limited to the poor man on the street, celebrities, politicians. You remember our president in the United States, and even in Brazil. It doesn't make a difference how high you are. Everyone is spreading misinformation for their own purpose. And commercially, some people have been making use of it to sell their products, and have been providing information, which disinformation and misinformation, so as to aid the use of their products. Now, religious groups also get involved. Some will claim that all you need is prayer, and you don't need to don't worry about faith, about COVID-19. There's nothing that Jesus Christ cannot do. all those kind of things. And of course, they convince people that all they're required to do is just come in and we pray for you, and then all will be well. We've seen people saying, I'll lay hands on you, and then you're okay. And then we have also where there have been issues of people thinking of this, can it be used as a bioweapon? Or was it something that came out of the lab accidentally? Or was it something that leaked maybe by error? Or was it something deliberate? These are all sorts of theories that have come about this thing. Is it a virus that was bioengineered in the lab? Are the Chinese trying to take over the world by creating a biological weapon? Or is it something between somebody stole the thing from the Canadian lab and brought it to China to create this bioweapon? Or is it the United States itself? All these are theories and things that come about this thing. There was even a report in the Jewish, somewhere in Israel, in which it was said it was believed by the Iranian that this was a Zionist element to deal with against Iran. There have been issues where people have thought it's an attempt to reduce the population of a certain group of people. And of course, you remember the 5G story that went around, that actually it is not the virus, it was the 5G that destroys and is the toxin that is caused by the 5G that is actually the symptom that we see as COVID. And then in the issue of epidemiology of the disease, there was a story from California where they were talking about the herd immunity, and it showed that it's only a group of people were infected, but because of some antibody studies they've done, and therefore it is not something that is common to everybody. In fact, there was a theory that the disease actually arrived in the United States long before the first cases were done, and there was a zero patient was somebody in California, all those kind of things. There's a story about people eating bad soup, and when you consume it, you get COVID, especially those in China. And in South Korea, there was a populist leader who told his people, come for mass gathering, we pray for you, all will be, there's nothing that will happen to you. And that was the beginning of the problem in South Korea, where the epidemic spread around the whole place. Some people even say that the virus only lasts for 12 hours and then is destroyed. And therefore, if you stay out of a particular place for 14 hours, you can actually break the chain of transmission. A group of people came up with the fact that mosquitoes are busy transmitting the disease. And when they bite you, like they transmit yellow fever, they can also transmit COVID. The president of the Filipino president said that if you don't have anything you can use gasoline to disinfect your mask. So there are all sorts of theories that are coming up about that. People have been told to guzzle alcohol because ethanol is contained in the sanitizer we use. Therefore, if you dose yourself with ethanol, of course, you can then take care of the virus. There are theories about people who say vegetarians are the ones that have all the immunity against COVID because, if you eat vegetable without any meat or something, you are protected against COVID-19. We've heard about religious people, but not only in Israel. Even the president of Tanzania was supposed to have told his people to go to church and that, don't worry about that, everything will work out well. So also you have the Muslims doing the same thing. The issue of herbal treatment, we're all aware of the Madagascar COVID organic, which the president publicly drowned a whole bottle. But then if you go to Madagascar now, you find that their cases have actually gone, they've had to lock down their country in spite of all the gallons of COVID organic that they ran. People have said, of course, you heard about the chloroquine, the hydroxychloroquine and others. In fact, there was a story that said that somebody in Nigeria assisted 12,000 COVID patients using chloroquine. The Chinese methods and all these other things. We remember a sister who was also supposed to have been involved with the hydroxychloroquine. There are different dangerous treatments which are going around the world. About some in the US, you remember Trump was saying something about bleach could solve the problem. And some people in one part of the year had a miracle mineral supplement, which contained chlorine or dioxide, and which then was part of bleach, and they used, and of course they died. He said there are different kind of untested treatments. Jim Baker and another an evangelist had a colloidal silver solution, which he gave to his people to be drinking. And then now we've seen people who have already getting the vaccine. You do remember that only a few days ago, the story in Nigeria was that we got the vaccine from Russia, which was one of the greatest lies I've ever been told. But not quite long after that, another person said that he has actually been given the vaccine and the thing works. And I was saying, you got it yesterday and it's working today, you know, that kind of thing. So we need to know when these facts, these fake things come out. We're talking about spiritual healing. So how do we deal with misscience? You can only deal with misscience with science. You can only deal with misscience with facts, and facts that are complete. And that's why I get a bit worried about what happens with a result that comes from when the NCDC brings out data for us on a daily basis without giving us the full details of what is happening. I've been at committee meetings in which the figures that the NCDC puts out and the people who are directly involved, I mean, it's about half of what the people who are directly involved are telling us. I remember a case of Sokoto, for example, when I think either Sokoto or Zamfara, when NCDC put up 900 cases, and the guy who is in charge of the laboratory for the state said he had actually, the numbers they have is over 2,000. And so we run into this kind of problem. Why are we gotten ourselves into it? I think part of it is that when, at the government level, people failed to provide detailed information to people. The gaps that we leave are filled up with rumor. And rumors have a way of ballooning and overcoming whatever facts you have. And so for us in our different positions, and a few of us have also been guilty of spreading these rumors. You get something without checking whether it is correct, you spread it to other people, and it becomes a major issue. I'm sure one or two of us have, I mean, at one time or another, one or two times we've done that, you know. And then the thing is it correct? I was listening into a group of people who were talking about, oh no, that the vaccine was not going to work if it came, they were going to do this, and when they have used it, and all sorts of things. And I said, look, there's no vaccine available, so where have they used it? They talked about the 5G, for example, that countries that have the 5G have the largest number of cases. And then all you need to look at is there are 6, 7 other countries that don't have 5G and have the largest number of cases. So we need to look at this information and get the facts by it. And when we have the opportunity to correct the information, it is in our duty and our right and which we must all do. Let me end up with when the issue of the Russian vaccine came, we did it by Zoom, and the Russian ambassador came in and handed over just a letter to the minister, and the letter was eventually shared with us, and all in the letter was a salesman's job. We are preparing the vaccine. It will be ready by December 2020. A few countries have joined who are interested in it. We're inviting Nigeria to join. That was what was in the letter. But then the people believe that we had received the vaccine. And then one of them even said, oh, the vaccine was in the Russian embassy in Nigeria, and all sorts of things like that. But then whenever we had the opportunity to confront such things, we must all do that. And of course, any other time I have an opportunity to say, this is not the truth. With the information I have in my hand, this is what is happening. And so, colleagues and friends, we are well placed because of our position, because of our knowledge, to provide the real facts and information to our people. Science is doing more damage to people than science itself. And you can see what is going on in our country today. There's this general belief that COVID is gone. There's no problem. You know, so everybody's going about their duties. Those of you who be out in the towns, you know that it's like nobody has taken the issue. And as I said, even people at the highest authority, we have the governor of Cross River, we have the governor of Kogi, all saying things, and they're probably likely to believe those people than even believe me. But then anytime we have opportunity, we must go ahead and confront those people with the facts of science. So I want to thank you for this opportunity. Sorry for all the breaks and in the transmission, which is another misconnection that we said. And I want to express again, thank you all for this opportunity, for listening to me. Maybe if there's time for questions, I'm available. Over, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Tomori, for the excellent lecture. We appreciate you, sir. It is my pleasure to move to our panelists now, and to anchor that, may I humbly invite Professor Wurola Shokunbi to kickstart the discussion. Professor Shokunbi, ma'am.
Good morning,